Tony Hamilton came to the Christian school to discuss enrolling his son. He also mentioned Michael, a homeless boy who occasionally stays with him. Coach Cotton was impressed with Michael's data, but the director had reservations. They didn't know what to do with a boy with an IQ of 80 and an average grade close to 0. They didn't even know how old he was. Seeing resistance from the faculty, the coach reminded them that they are a Christian school and should help all children. Big Michael, in tattered sneakers and worn-out clothes, came to his new school for the first time. Miss Boswell handed out test sheets to assess the students' knowledge, but Michael didn't attempt to answer a single question. He only drew a ship. Tony's wife confronts him about Michael staying with them all the time and eating all the food. She is no longer willing to tolerate it. Leanne Tohey came to the school volleyball match to support her daughter Collins. Her husband Sean noticed a large, dark-skinned boy picking up leftover popcorn after the game. A month passed, and Michael still hadn't completed any assignments. On the playground, he met S.J. Tohey, and S.J. told him about his father, a former basketball star. That's when Leanne first noticed the big, humble boy. The principal spoke to him. Recently, newspapers wrote about a homeless man who fell from an overpass and died. It turned out to be Michael's father. The young man couldn't even remember the last time he saw him. Michael came to the laundry to wash his only spare t-shirt and opened the textbook Mrs. Boswell gave him. Taking the next test, he earned a satisfactory grade. Mrs. Boswell is sure he's not stupid. He just needs a special approach. When the whole family returned home from school one evening, they saw Michael standing in his usual clothes in the pouring rain. He was heading to the school gym because it was warm there, but it was already closed, and the woman realized he had nowhere to sleep. So she put him in the car and brought him home. Collins was surprised to see a healthy guy at the doorstep. Michael found himself in such a large, luxurious house for the first time. The spouses wondered before sleep if they had done the right thing. Could he steal from them? When Lenz went downstairs in the morning, she saw that the bed was neatly made and Michael was already gone. Lee managed to stop him at the last moment and invited him to celebrate Thanksgiving with them. While everyone watched the Super Bowl, Lee prepared a lot of delicious food. After loading up their plates, they all returned to watching football, except for Michael, who, hiding a roll in his pocket, sat at the dining table. Liz, deep in thought, turned off the TVs and urged her family to eat at the table. They all joined hands to say grace. This was all new to Big Michael. The next day, Lee took Michael shopping for new clothes because a spare t-shirt and a bag couldn't be considered a complete wardrobe. According to Michael, he did have clothes. They went to the ghetto, the area where Michael grew up and where his mother lives. He still had some things here. The big guy insisted that his companion stay in the car. He greeted Michael with respect, but he only exchanged greetings with one guy, David, probably his brother. On the door of his house, Michael found an eviction notice. Where his mother is now is unknown. The saddened guy returned to the car and lied that his mother had just moved. After that, the couple visited a local Big and Tall clothing store. The assortment was mediocre. Lee allowed Michael to choose what he liked. It turned out the guy loved bright striped clothes. Lee considers arranging a bedroom for Michael with suitable furniture because the big guy already broke their $10,000 sofa. The school conducted vocational testing. The results showed that Michael's ability to learn is only 5%, but in the protective instinct category, he has a whopping 98%. Lay presented Michael with his new room. The guy is very grateful because he never even had his own bed. To hide her tears, moved Lay closed herself in another room. Today is a special day. The family will celebrate at an expensive restaurant because Michael's grades have improved, and now he can participate in football tryouts. Michael recognized one of the restaurant's staff and hugged him tightly. Marcus is his brother, but Michael doesn't even know where he lives. The last time he saw him was when he was very young. Today, for the first time in his life, the 17-year-old guy had a bedtime story read to him. Lee confesses that coming into Michael's life made not only his life happier, but hers as well. The next Christmas, the family made a holiday card, now with a new family member. However, some relatives had questions. Lee's wealthy friends nickname Michael King Kong and attribute her kind deed to white guilt. They also inquire about her daughter's safety, expressing concern about living under the same roof as a huge African-American guy. Feeling ashamed in the company of her friends, Lee leaves them. Over time, Collins's attitude towards the good-natured giant, Michael, improves. In the library, she deliberately leaves her friends and joins Michael at the table. Michael attends his first football practice, but there's one problem. He knows nothing about the sport and does everything wrong. The balls flying into the sky interest him much more than the game itself. Unlike other kids in foster families who release their anger on the field, Michael is a gentle giant who won't harm a fly. CJ takes charge of coaching Michael personally. Every member of the Tohey family is involved in sports, so not to disappoint them, Michael starts training hard. One evening, he turns to Leish to help him get a driver's license. Not that he aspires to drive a car. He just wants to have at least one document with his name. It turns out there is no information in the system about a person named Michael O'Hare. Perhaps that's not even his real surname. That's when Alea considers becoming Michael's legal guardian. Social services revealed that when Michael was 7, he was separated from his mother and other siblings, who numbered no less than 12, all from a drug-addicted mother. Michael is under state care, so there's no need for Leach's consent to become his guardian. However, Leach thought it would be wrong and decided to meet Michael's mother. The woman cried when she learned that a selfless guest had taken full responsibility for her son. Proctor, that's the name Michael used, but then she admitted that she made it up. She just couldn't remember who his father was, and his real last name is Williams. During a family gathering, Sean asked Michael if he would mind if he and his wife became his legal guardians. To everyone's surprise, Michael asked, "Aren't we already a family?" Michael finally got his driver's license, and as a gift, he received a pickup truck. SJ teaches Michael game tactics using spice jars. The boy asked his mom if Michael could take him to the store to buy a new video game. The friends had a great time, but the novice driver often got distracted, and they didn't notice the oncoming truck they collided with. Devastated, Michael sits on the curb, and SJ only suffered a split lip. The police officer explains to Lee that children shouldn't sit in the front seat. The airbag deploys with such force that it breaks the child's facial bones, but SJ is miraculously almost unharmed. The reason is that Michael managed to extend his arm, blocking the airbag. SJ records Michael's training sessions on camera to review his mistakes later. The health of the young player shows progress, but the coach struggles to explain clearly what he expects from the player. Lee intervenes, telling her son that the team is his family, and he must protect the players just like he protected SJ from the airbag. Michael seems transformed. He starts tackling one football player after another on the field. It's time to test Michael in a game against another school team. Opponents immediately start mocking the big guy, including Red, an old acquaintance who lives near the Tuohy family. Unfortunately, Michael can't do anything against the agile opponent, Ham, who turns out to be Red's son. He repeatedly manages to escape from our hero. Lee tries to influence the game again, even calling the coach on her mobile. Nervous, she sends Red away. When Michael was on the ground, player number 66 kicked his helmet, but the referee ignored the violation. The coach declared that he would defend the boy as if he were his own son. Michael remembered Lei's words about the team being his family and, gathering himself, took down player number 66. He dragged him across the entire field until it ended. It was a turning point in the game. Michael successfully blocked opponents one after another, and his team won with a crushing score. SJ recorded the best moment of the match on discs and sent them to college teams across America. All the coaches were in awe of the unstoppable Giants' ability. They all came to the school to watch the genius play live. A man in a yellow cap arrived from the University of Tennessee, and Lee can't see their team, so she immediately made it clear to Coach Cotton that he must refuse him. They put Michael against another player, and he took him down without even noticing. Coaches immediately reached for their phones. It seemed like Michael was waiting for a bright sporting future, but it turned out that his average grade for college admission should be no less than 2.5. And for this, he must score at least a B on all the remaining assignments. So the decision was made to hire a tutor. Miss Sue assures the student that she will definitely help him. The main thing is to believe in himself. And one of the college coaches visited the coach. The family welcomed him warmly. Back then, they didn't know that they would have to host such guests every day, and each would try to lure the promising athlete to their college. Constant meetings tire Michael, and he still needs to study hard. The season ended, and Michael led his team to victory among private schools. Lee dreams of Michael getting into Ole Miss, so she suggested to the coach how to win him over. However, the student is inclined to choose Tennessee, which the woman hates with all her heart. So she persuaded Miss Sue to lie to Michael that under the football fields in Tennessee, the fire ants preserve decomposing bodies. This influenced the impressionable guy, and he chose Ole Miss. At graduation, Lee told her husband that Michael scored the required 2.5 points, and now he can comfortably enroll in the chosen college. However, another trial awaited him. A representative of the sports student organization summoned the guy for an interview. The point is that after signing a contract with Michael, Coach Cotton got a job at Ole Miss, and his guardian Sean played basketball there, and Lee even studied at this college. In fact, his guardians are recruiters, which means that other recruiters can start doing the same. Namely, become guardians of less fortunate athletes and force them to enroll in their universities. Everything his family did was only to make him enroll in Ole Miss and play for their football team. The woman instilled this thought in Michael, and he ran away disappointed. The young man no longer trusts Leiji. That day, Michael never returned home, and Lee wondered if she had pressured him too much. thinking primarily about her desires. Big Michael came to the ghetto to meet his mom. The authority lured him into a den. Allegedly, his mother had to come here for a dose. His brother David dropped out of school and joined a gang. The thugs started making dirty jokes about Leigh and her daughter. Mikhail was going to leave, but the authority threatened him with a gun. However, the healthy guy was not scared. He scattered the gang members, beating their faces and breaking furniture over them. Michael remembered how he was taken away from his family at the age of 7. He no longer wants such a life. Leigh came to the area to find out if Michael was here. The authority started threatening her with her foster son, but Republican Leigh is a member of the shooting association and always carries a gun in her purse, so some thug can't intimidate her. Michael called Lynn his mother and asked her to pick him up from the laundromat. Only now the woman asked if Michael even wants to play football, and if he likes Tennessee, he can choose that college. It's his decision. But Michael still chose Ole Miss because his whole family studied there and he wants to be closer to them. Miss Sue will continue to help him with his studies here. The main thing is that the guy doesn't get too distracted by co-eds. Leigh cried again and hid in the car, but Michael asked her to come out and hugged her tightly. Leigh somehow miscalculated the note about a 21-year-old guy, a talented athlete who grew up without parents and was killed during a gang showdown. Then she was once again convinced that she did everything right because in the place of that guy, her son Mikhail could have been. Michael became the best player at Ole Miss, and thanks to Miss Sue's support, he earned a degree. After graduating from college, Michael began his professional football career.